Well, hello, free people of the Rocky Mountain region, and welcome to this Free State Colorado interview. Today, I'm joined by Gene, a Colorado father who's been fighting to stop his 14-year-old son from being sterilized. Now, Gene's ex wife was able to get a judge to block his oversight over his son's medical treatment, even preventing him from talking to him about transgenderism. So, Gene, let's start at the beginning. What happened?
Let's start at the very beginning. My son is actually a twin. He has a twin sister. And when their mother and I divorced when kids were about 18 months old because she was an alcoholic. Something had to be done. Um, when the kids were about 4, maybe 5 years old, my ex-wife said, I think our children are gay. Now, my ex-wife is a Boulder socialite. She's actually a very high-placed Boulder person. And for those who don't know, People's Republic of Boulder did pride itself back in early 2010s on having gay children. That was a status symbol. So all of a sudden, my kids became gay. Well, I said they're 4 and 5, if anything, they're asexual. So we took them to a very reputable therapist, psychiatrist. He did some work with them, 5 or 6, maybe 7 sessions, and said, well, they are really just 4 and 5-year-old boy and girl. We don't know any better. So that was squashed for a while. Come probably about late 2010s, the mood changed in Boulder. It was now very pedestrian to have a gay child. Now you had to have a trans child. So all of a sudden, my son became trans. He came out to me when he was about 11 and a half, closer to 12, and said, Dad, I think I'm in the wrong body. And I said, what makes you think that? Well, I'm not like most boys. I don't like sports, and I'm like, well, I don't like sports either. It doesn't make me a girl. Well, I like dancing. Son, I'm the one that pushed you into dancing. This is like, I like dancing. I'm not particularly good at it, but, well, I think I might be a girl. Now, at that time, I knew absolutely nothing about the transgender and the movement and the advocacies and the affirmation and everything that's now balled up and surfaced. So I said, tell you what, let me research this, okay? We don't need to make any decisions. We don't need to do anything. Let's research. And for the next year and a half, I was researching things and talking to him about it. Well, when he turned 13, okay? Right now he is 14, pretty soon will be 15 in about 3 months. When he turned 13, out of nowhere, my ex-wife said, I want an arbitrator. Why do you want an arbitrator? Well, our divorce agreement said we need an arbitrator. This is very common in Colorado, since the courts really don't want to hear bickering parents filing every 5 seconds, every time the transfer of children is an hour late. They assign an attorney to be a mediator, and if mediation fails, an arbitrator, okay? And then his or her word is basically the law, because no judge will ever disagree unless it's just completely off the scale. Okay. We got a guy. She recommended one. So sure, let's do it. At the same time, she said needs a therapist. Well, said the therapist. Let's face it. When the mother's an alcoholic and there's alcohol in breast milk, kids are going to be in therapy for most of their life, I would imagine. I said, well, he has a therapist. This is not the right therapist. We need a different therapist. Here's the name. Okay, I will interview this therapist. I went into the therapist's office and I talked to her. I saw a lot of pride flags. I saw a lot of trans flags in the office. But Boulder County, what else is new, right? The American flag doesn't fly very often, but boy, that pride flag's everywhere. Uh, Again, I don't have a problem with it. That's fine. I talked to her and I said, as plainly as I'm saying right now, are you a transgender advocate? No. Are you interested in discussing things with my son that are not in the affirmation direction yet? Okay. That was about, I don't know, maybe October of 2023, maybe November of 2023. By April of 24, he was convinced he was a girl. Okay. So now that I'm so educated on the whole subject, that's called ROGD, rapid onset of gender dysphoria. That's what the therapist called. As soon as I figured it out, I said, I probably shouldn't mention name. You're fired. Not so. My ex went back to the mediator, and the mediator said, no, you can't just fire her. Well, our agreement says that both parents have to agree to a therapist. No, she stayed. I spent the whole summer of last year writing several very detailed, because by now I'm actually know what I'm talking about, very detailed information on why transing children is a bad thing, why putting kids on puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, has no science behind it, how it's harmful, the CAS report, the fact that it's no longer allowed in the Scandinavian countries like Norway and Sweden and Denmark, who started this, who started, the whole trans movement. All of a sudden they put the brakes, and it's like, well, we think what is happening is A, we're harming these children, and B, these children are probably just gay or lesbian. They're not in the wrong body. They just don't understand that their attraction to same sex is simply homosexuality, which again is fine with me. If my son is gay, which he may be, I'd say he is gay. Be gay. I would like to see some grandchildren at some point, but other than that, decide whatever you want as an adult. This was the case I argued all summer. Leave the child alone. Let him turn 18, 19, let him become an adult. Let the frontal cortex develop to the point where he can actually understand who he is and where he fits into this world. Now, granted, 18, 19, we're probably still idiots, right? They say that it's mostly, mid-20s, and for men, it's probably, late 40s is when our brain fully develops. But let's split the difference. Let's just say 18. Since he can, buy a gun at 18, he can decide if he's a girl. Well, all the information I have given to the arbitrator and to the ex basically went, either unread or unresponded to. The answer was, my son is to go to the True Center, TRUE, which is it's an abbreviation which I can never remember, but it's affiliated with the Children's Hospital of Colorado, which is one of the hospitals currently being investigated by the federal government for violating, medical procedures on children. He is to go there. He is to be put on puberty blockers. I am not to discuss anything with him. I am not allowed to talk to him about anything transgender related. I'm not allowed to talk to him about the award that was made. I'm not allowed to have him talk to anyone else. Okay. I was pretty distraught because I don't know anything about the legal system. I'm an electrical engineer. What do I know? I work with machines. Um, I had to learn real quick. I started web searching for support groups and I found one. The Parents of Trans Children support group here in Colorado. So, I made a pot of food and went to one of the meetings. And they all told me that I'm a good cook, which is true. But I also met a lady named Lori Gimmelstein. I was talking to her. She gave me her card, whatever. And when we had the kind of, it's like a circle of people, and we all talk about, now I know that we talk about what progress was made in the last month or regress. And she heard my story and she said, Gene, I think I can help you. She put me in touch with, at this point, 3 attorneys. One is the First Amendment attorney that has looked at it as your rights are being violated. I mean, you can't prevent a parent from talking to their child. That's crazy. Another attorney is the appellate attorney, somebody who appeals. She said, we're going to appeal your award. It was appealed to the Boulder court, got rejected on technicality. Went to the circuit court, got rejected again. I don't think anyone actually read it. Unfortunately, the legal system is once the lower court says something, and in my case, the arbitrator says something, judges don't look at these things. So now it's working its way all the way up to the Colorado Supreme Court, which apparently there is such a thing. I'm not hopeful. The second attorney, the third attorney is the one that's actually taking up my plight. What I am trying to do is I'm trying to break through this nonsense. The problem is the legal system takes forever, okay? My son is on puberty blockers. His growth is stunted. He's been on them for now going on close to 9 months. He is going to be 15 at the end of October. He is 5'4". He is a great dancer. And I don't think he'll be able to do that because his bones aren't growing. He is not your typical trans adolescent who tend to be on the spectrum. They tend to be loners. They tend to be, kids who are being picked on. He's an extrovert. He loves people. He loves to talk. He loves company. I'm reasonably sure he is gay because almost all of his friends are either girls or guys who I also think are gay. I believe he is a perfect candidate for discovering that there's nothing wrong with the body he is in. There is no reason to go through a life journey of medicalization and surgery. That he just needs to accept that he's gay. He needs to accept that he likes men. Again, not a problem. And I told them before, I said, look, when you're 18, if you're going to come in and say, Dad, I'm a girl, well, I'm a woman, I will always love you. You will always be my child. Will I understand it? I don't know. Will I figure out how to deal with it? Yes. Will I still call you by your birth name? Probably so. We'll work it out. but it's a decision you need to make when you're capable of making a decision. Right now, you're still afraid to sleep in your own room at night when it's dark. You have no sense of direction, just like your old man. Why don't you be a boy and a child until you're no longer a child, and then decide what you want to do? That's the message I'm trying to make across. And if I was able to talk to him, I believe I'd be able to convince him. As it stands right now, I can't. Now, with the Trump administration, with the executive order of no medicalization of children, the Children's Hospital of Colorado stopped doing medicalization of children for about a week. And then they restarted because we're a blue state. We're about as blue as it gets. Our attorney general joined the lawsuit of the Western states, the orders. My guess is it will be illegal within the next year or two. I don't know if my son has a year or two. And that's where I lose sleep at night, worried about him. He's a child. He's been brainwashed by a therapist, by a socialite mother, probably by the interwebs, even though I try to monitor what my children see online. And there is no counter to it. There's no balance. He only has information going one way. And that's not cool. So I guess that's the short version of my story. How short? Probably not short enough, but that's the short version.
Well, I appreciate you sharing all the details, Gene. I can't imagine how hard it's been and how challenging this is. So I appreciate you sharing your story because I know you're not alone. I know this situation is affecting other Colorado fathers and parents across the state. And just to think that the whole legal system, the political system is stacked against you, that it really creates the incentives and the ability for this to happen to children and prevent fathers and parents from being able to legally do anything about it. I mean, that's one of the most frightening aspects of it is just how Colorado law is
Mhm.
stopping you from helping your son. Can you go into a little bit more about that, maybe?
Um, I have a joint custody of my twins with my ex-wife, 50-50 custody. If I violate the order, I will lose custody. Okay. My son loves me and I love him. Uh, we have a great relationship. We can talk about all sorts of stuff, just not transgender issues. If he brings it up, I tell him, son, I cannot talk about it. I am not legally allowed to talk to you. It's the hardest thing in the world because when your child and you, parent, have a good relationship and you can talk about everything, just like I can talk about everything with his sister, it weighs very, very heavily on my everyday existence. When I have to watch exactly what I say, what I mention, anything, because anything can be used against me. The legal system in Colorado is very, and the political, establishment is very gender affirming. Okay, gender affirmation, in fact, is the only therapy that's allowed in Colorado. Anything else, you might lose your license. So if a child wants to do any level of exploration, he cannot do it with a therapist. The This is not done in any medical field that I'm aware of. where when a child comes to a doctor and says, "Doctor, I think I'm a bird," and the doctor says, interesting. Well, let's do this. Let's cut off your arms. I'll attach a couple of wings. What's your favorite bird? What bird are you? You're an eagle? Okay. We'll attach a couple of eagle wings and let's see how it goes. You know, it's not that doctor would be in jail or worse. Uh, it's it's insane. Yet when a child comes in and says, "I think I'm in the wrong body," that child is immediately affirmed and put on the medical track that will cost that child thousands of dollars and will force them into existence, medical existence for the rest of their lives. And I mean, there's studies that say, look, if you leave a child alone, the child's just going to be a gay child. Okay, children that think they're in the wrong body. Let them grow up; they'll just say, "Yeah, I'm not in the wrong body. I just like same sex." Great. Let them be. Why are we doing this? Why is Well, I mean, we know why. It's a very strong lobby from the trans advocates. It's a strong lobby from the medical establishment because that's a lot of money. We're looking at billions of dollars here. And some of the left wing activists on the Marxist side just see that as a perfect way to break up the nuclear family. So it's obvious where it's coming from. And remember, I come from a communist country. I can see a lot of these things. We're separating children from parents. We're making sure parents can't talk to them. And that leaves these children exposed to whatever ideas are put in their heads. And I may agree with some of those ideas, and I may not agree with some others. That isn't the point. The point is it's not a government bureaucrat's job. A bureaucrat that doesn't know my son, doesn't see my son, to decide what that son will, what he or she will be.
No.
Have I answered your question, or am I just rambling on?
No, definitely a great answer there. Really appreciate those comments. Yeah, I mean it's unbelievable. Unfortunately, I hate to say it's unbelievable because it is believable these days
Yeah, yeah,
that
I couldn't
this
believe it either.
that this is where the United States has gone, where there's a system in place, especially here in Colorado, where you're not legally allowed to what they call engage in conversion therapy, which means, talking to your son, talking to a kid from if you're a therapist or a medical professional, you can't say, well, maybe you're just going through a phase, or maybe you should just stay how you were born, or any of that. I mean, that's illegal, that they can't say those things, that they have to affirm, that they have to say, yeah, of course. Let's go for it. Go ahead. Go back to Children's Hospital there and get some more drugs and get some more surgeries going. And let's get you on this fast track to medical dependency for the rest of your life. And the alternative explanation or the alternative viewpoint is censored. I mean, it's absolutely wild to think that that's the reality here in Colorado, but unfortunately it is. And you did mention Children's Hospital earlier. Can you just talk a little bit more maybe about how Children's Hospital here in Colorado, what kind of role they played in this whole situation? How long had he been going to Children's Hospital, and what kind of drugs were they supplying to him?
I wish I could answer a lot of these questions. I am prohibited from contacting any medical professional. Uh, I'm prohibited from contacting the True Center. I'm prohibited from contacting children. All the online portals for my son have been disabled. All I know is that the award was made at the end of September of last year, and in early October he was admitted to the True Center and put on puberty blockers. The only reason I even know that is I got a bill from medical insurance. I'm the one that pays all the medical expenses for my kids. According to the award, my ex was required to tell me about the progress. Okay. What medical treatment he is getting. Now, when you think of what medical treatment information I would need is, was he admitted? Who is his doctor? Was he examined by a psychiatrist? What medications is he on? How frequently is he being checked? What are the doctor's plans for the future? None of that information has been provided to me, and none is forthcoming. Okay. And the reason I believe that information is not forthcoming because the truth is damaging. And the doctors know it, and my ex knows it. That if I get the real information, it is nightmarish. I believe my son was admitted by a person who is trans, the intake person. I believe the doctor's last name is Bogart. I am hesitant to call, I think it's Amanda Bogart. I'm hesitant to call her a doctor because what she is doing is violating everything the medical establishment stands for. She is literally mutilating a child. I mean, we're kind of in a Mengele territory here as far as I'm concerned. Yes, it's probably an exaggeration, but not too far-fetched, because this may be just the beginning. This
Yeah,
has to stop.
it does have to stop. And, that's why it's so important, I think, Gene, for you to get your story out there for people to be aware of this because people don't understand that this is happening in their own communities. They don't understand the extent of it here in Colorado and how many children are being harmed. And Colorado is becoming this place, this sanctuary state for
Yeah.
people from out of state to come, as other states have kind of reversed course and stopped these harmful procedures on children. Colorado's continuing full steam ahead now with more taxpayer funding and government giving the thumbs up and green light to every kind of disfigurement available. And it's really shocking. People need to be aware of it. And people need to understand there's a whole generation of children out here who are being harmed, many of them irreversible, and just a horrible situation. These kids don't necessarily, in my opinion, they don't know any better. They're 13 years old, 14 years old, 12 years old. What do they know about life? Like you said, being 18, 19 years old, don't know about life. Even at 40, I'm not sure, on everything, but that's the reality of the situation. To think that a young child can make some sort of permanent decision for the rest of their life is so absurd and absolutely horrible. And like you said, hey, we already have a legal standard of 18 years old for an individual to kind of start making their own decisions. Why not wait for that? So shocking stuff. But Gene, what are some
Cool.
of the final thoughts or final points that people need to know?
Um, when I was 16, I thought I knew everything. I thought the world was my oyster. And even when I was 18, I rode a motorcycle because it was cool. I smoked cigarettes because it was cool. And I thought my parents were idiots. When I hit about probably early 20s, 21, 22, all of a sudden I realized that smoking causes cancer, motorcycles are kind of unsafe, and my father is the smartest person I'll ever meet. And those are my beliefs since then. This is not a political issue. See, I'm a Republican or a Democrat. I'm a libertarian. I only vote for people that don't have a chance of winning anything. Uh, and as libertarians, we are very much into, well, if it doesn't harm anyone, then that's okay. As I'm growing older, I'm starting to wonder if that's true. I don't have a good opinion. Certain things just aren't right. Just even if they don't harm anyone. This issue is completely apolitical and very plain. We are harming children. We're harming children because the Democratic Party, the left wing of the Democratic Party, is taken over by lunatics. And I understand the need to protect the marginalized communities. I understand the need to be understanding, even if not accepting. I don't understand the need to force and promote transing children. And that's the problem. Now, yeah, Colorado is Democrat to the core. The only way we can fix this problem right now is through litigation. We have an increasing evidence that children, well, adults uh, in their mid 20s, more and more are starting to detransition. And that aligns well with, frontal cortex. We have to sue the doctors, the therapists, the lawyers, the judges, whoever is forcing this. The only way to fix it is to create disincentive, especially to the medical establishment. This is why I'm spending all the money I have and money I don't have on trying to save my son. And I don't have a higher calling. That's the most important thing in my life. My children, and I have 3 kids. My children are the most important thing in my life, and I will do anything to save them, to nurture them, to bring them to adulthood, and to pass on, whatever knowledge I have. And I always tell them, guys, if you're not smarter than me when you're adults, I didn't do my job. You better be smarter than me. So that's where I'm at.
Wow, very powerful words there, Gene. I really appreciate everything that you're doing to help your kids out and
They want
get your
to.
story out as well. Is there anything people can do to support you or help you in your mission here?
I am very lousy at asking for money. I can't do it. I went to talk to the Boulder County Republican group, both of them, and they offered, the people in the audience offered checks, and I said, guys, I can't do it. I can't take your money. I'm. I very much appreciate anyone that's willing to contribute, but this is my fight. I'm fighting for my son, and I believe I'm fighting for a higher cause. Okay. And if by saving my child, I can save other children, then it's worth every penny I've ever earned.
Wow. Well, sir, I really appreciate you. Wish you the best of luck. Good luck on
Thank,
everything. Please keep us updated if there's any updates or anything that there is an opportunity for people to get involved with. But
absolutely.
just appreciate your time, Gene, and best wishes to you and take care, sir.
Thank you, Brendan. Thank you for interviewing me. I really appreciate it. Take care.
All right. You're welcome. Take care.